Hello friends, welcome to my channel Beauty of Chess64. So today we are going to look at a very beautiful game. It's between Farazi Khaiber, an Afghanistan player, versus our very own Surya Sekhar Ganguly. So recently I was trying my hand at the Benko Gambit and I was just looking for some Indian player who plays this line, and I came across this wonderful game. So this sixth move which Surya Sekhar Ganguly has played is so good that even right now with Fat Fritz, even if you leave it on for half an hour, it doesn't come up. And that's how good a move he played. I have no idea whether he analyzed it beforehand or was it over the board. But nonetheless, it's an outstanding move and worth watching the video just for that move. So the game starts in a typical Benko fashion. D4, knight f3, c4, c5, e5, d5, and Ganguly goes b5. Here it's a Benko Gambit decline. He probably didn't want to go, probably he didn't want to fall for Ganguly's preparation. Farazi thought, let's play a sideline. So here he played knight c3, and here comes the move b4. So and b4, this move has been played many times before, so it's nothing new. Knight can go back to b1, and then it can go from b1 to d2, or he can develop in any other way. So it's very much playable, no problem. Black develops normally. He plays g6. That's how it typically goes in the Benko Gambit. The bishop develops on g7 and black castles short. And after g6, here white played b3, intending to play bishop b2. So this is a very natural looking move, of course, because b2 definitely looks like a better square for the bishop, eyeing this diagonal, which is incredibly open right now. So folks, here is your chance. What would you play as black? Of course, bishop g7 is a normal move, but other than that, okay, here is the killer move. Here is the move which baffled me the most, and it is not found by any of the engines, be it Stockfish 11 or Fat Fritz. So the move that black played is knight takes d5. Why? You are giving up a piece, and at the same time your rook on a8 is under attack. So why would you want to do this? It's not that after queen takes d5, of course, normal looking move, and anyone would grab that knight. There is no way you would not want to grab it, because then simply black is a pawn up. Okay, doesn't matter. You want to sacrifice a knight, you sacrifice a knight for a pawn, but now you need to save this rook. So you would play knight c6 naturally. But that's not what Ganguly played. Ganguly played bishop to g7. And the beauty is, there is no way white can save the rook. Absolutely nothing white can do that can save the rook. Here white plays a4, so in case if black doesn't take the rook, white can escape to a2. Fair enough. Now let's see what would happen if white were not to play a4 and go for queen takes a8. After queen takes a8, the queen is out of the game. It is trapped after this move knight c6. Of course, you might think that white has all his pieces on board, and the funny thing is none of the pieces are developed. Each and every one of them is in the first rank. But well, a piece is a piece. And so here too white would try to play a4. a4 is also a multi-purpose move which we will come back to later. But now here black regains the rook at least. And if we take a pause and look at this position, white's queen is definitely out of place. It has nowhere to go. None of the white pieces are developed. And it's very difficult to think how white would free his queen. none of the moves are possible. So probably white could play g3, place the bishop on g2 and try and attack this knight on c6 and weaken this pawn on a7, so that after bishop takes c6, white can probably try and capture the pawn on a7. So these are just over the top ideas I'm just running by, but it's not very easy for white to play now. So an interesting idea which white executes in this game is bishop h6. It's a decent move because here now black cannot castle, and it's also difficult for black to play a decent move because you can't play d6 because then the knight would simply be lost. Queen to c7 doesn't look so good right now because probably white can play bishop to f4, attacking the queen, and if queen takes bishop, then you have queen takes c8. And here black can play this beautiful move f6, intending to get the king to f7 and connect the queen and the rook. Now the long-term plan for black is to get the king on f7, connect these rook and queen, get the queen on b6 or c7, and then place the rook on d8 so that the rook is protected by the queen, and then move the bishop to get the white queen. Yes, because now once you realize that the white queen is trapped, you have to think that how will you finally capture the white queen, because it's not so clear. But once you think that if you want to capture the white queen, what would be the ideal position of the pieces, then these ideas would naturally come to you. That is, placing the queen on b6 or b7, placing the king on f7, getting the rook to d8 so that it is supported by the queen, and then moving the bishop away, and then finally grabbing the queen. So here white plays g3 with the same idea that after bishop g2 and bishop takes knight, the a7 pawn is weak. But we will go ahead with our plan, and here black plays king f7, bishop g2, and here queen b6. Now there is also a very subtle difference between queen b6 and playing queen b7 here. Okay, now let's go ahead and play queen c7 here first, and I will show you what happens after that. This is all computer analysis. So here white plays bishop d5 check first. After e6, bishop to f4, attacking the queen. And here black has to play bishop to e5. After bishop takes c6, d takes c6, bishop takes bishop, pawn takes bishop, knight f3. Here black can play king g7. And after knight bd2, black plays bishop d7, and the queen is trapped, and it's a goner because here the queen has no moves where it can free itself. So the queen has to take the rook, and this. Now we will look at this position, and the position is not very easy for black to play because the white pawn structure is pretty consolidated. These two knights are connected, and this knight is in turn protecting this pawn, and white here can have the idea of playing castles and then placing this rook over here and supporting this pawn, and it is very, very difficult for black to break through. Now remember I mentioned that we will look at queen c7 first, and then we will look at queen b6. What was the difference? Now here if black played queen to c7, but the correct move is queen to b6. Why? You won't believe, the end position is almost the same except one difference. I'll tell you. Because here after queen b6, if white were to play how he played after queen c7, that is bishop d5 check, e6, Here white does not have the intermediary move bishop f4, which attacks the queen on c7. Now another idea of bishop f4 is that in this line, if in the queen c7 line, that is, if white were to play bishop d5, e6, bishop f4, and here if black were to move his queen, say with the same idea, trying for queen to b6 and trapping the queen, then white queen escapes easily after bishop takes c6, pawn takes c6, and now this b8 square is protected by the bishop, and then the queen escapes. So that's the big difference between playing queen b6 and queen c7, and that is why after queen b6 white has to play a5 to push the queen back to c7 and go ahead with the same plan, that is bishop d5, e6, bishop f5, bishop f4, bishop e5, bishop takes knight, pawn takes knight, bishop takes bishop, pawn takes bishop, knight f3, king g7, e4 or knight bd2, bishop d7, and here queen takes, king takes. Now if you notice, the only difference between this position and the earlier position is that here in the earlier position the pawn is not on a5. The pawn is not on a5. But here, however, the pawn stands on a5. And this is the difference it makes between winning this game and probably drawing this game. Because now after whatever white plays next, black is, because now he can create a passer, either one of these pawns black has. So coming back, instead of queen takes a8, obviously what we looked at till right now was all computer analysis, and over the board it would have been very difficult for white to have analyzed so far, but white was smart enough to understand that after queen takes a8 and knight c6, the queen is not coming back to the game anytime soon. And here white creates space for his rook by playing a4, so that if in case black tries to save the rook by playing knight c6 instead of bishop takes rook, if black were to play knight c6, then white could play rook to a2 and save the rook, and the game proceeds. But here our Ganguly Dada played bishop takes a1, and obviously white again did not go for queen takes a8. So here white plays bishop to h6. It's a good move because here now black cannot castle anymore. So now black plays knight c6, developing his piece, and after knight f3, bishop b7, knight g5, trying to give a checkmate in one, e6, queen d6, again blocking any pawn developments for black. And here black brings his piece back into the action by playing bishop e5, giving away this pawn, but then playing d6. And after queen e3, knight d4, threatening to fork on this c2 square. And if we just pause at this moment and see white's position, it's completely I don't know what to say. All of white's pieces are not coordinated so well. The knight on b1 looks funny. This bishop is not doing anything except preventing black from castling. This knight is not doing anything. It seemed like it was just a one move threat of mate on f7, and the queen is just being chased around everywhere on the board. So here white plays queen to h3, protecting the bishop, and here Ganguly gets his queen into the game by playing queen f6, white tries to activate his pieces by playing knight d2. Here e3 is not possible because then knight takes b3 is losing a pawn. So knight d2, and here simply bishop f4, threatening to win a piece. So knight goes back to f3, and here simply Ganguly exchanges the bishops. Bishop takes h6 and queen takes h6. However, the computer shows a beautiful mate in 10 at this point, which is knight c2 check, king goes to d1, give up the knight by giving the check on a1, queen c3 check, king to b1, bishop e4 check, you give up the bishop also. After knight takes bishop, you have queen takes b3, king a1. Notice this bishop is blocking the white king's escape. And now queen a3 check, king b1, queen c1 check, king a2, b3 check, king takes b3, rook b8 check. Well, it's the Benko Gambit. The rook needs an open file. King a2 and checkmate. So here what Ganguly played is bishop takes h6, and white simply resigned here because it's simply crossing. To give you a simple sample line, after queen takes h6, knight f5, and the queen hardly has any squares to go, h3 and f5, h3 and f4. So here goes queen f4, and we have this queen a1 check, knight b1, queen takes b1, king d2, queen a2 check, king c1, queen a1, king d2, queen c3 check, king d1, queen takes b3. And here the engine shows something like mate in 15. I mean, white is completely busted here. Black is a whole rook up, and white position is simply collapsing now. All in all, a brilliant game by Ganguly. I mean, the sixth move, knight takes d4, is just out of this world. There have been so many games where this order of moves has been played, but no one has played knight takes d5. And it's funny that I had posted a comment on Twitter, and Ganguly said that 20 games have been played so far, and none of them has played knight takes d5. So it's very interesting and very intriguing, and it's the brilliance of Ganguly. I don't know if he got this move over the board or it was his home preparation, because engines, as I said, engines weren't that strong in 2008. But it could be that he could have analyzed a few lines and come to a conclusion that after knight c6 the queen is not coming out, and sometimes this much is enough for you to get a judgment on how the game will go. So simply I think this is one of my best games in Benko. So thank you for watching this game, and I don't know how the revision mode should be for this one, but I'll just put out the revision mode for you guys to go through the game, and probably use this idea if you ever encounter one. Benko Gambit declined with knight b1. Thank you friends for watching this video, and I hope I could do justice to this game and justice to Ganguly Dada for the sheer brilliance in this Benko Gambit. Thank you.